Asia Wilson's just a big bully. Look at this. Throws Lexi Hull on the ground. Everything she does is illegal. Look at this one. A moving screen and then pushes Lexi Hull. You think they ever call a foul on Asia Wilson?
The Las Vegas Aces came out swinging with elbows, flops, and cheap shots, but the Indiana Fever never flinched. Every push from Aya Wilson and every shove from Vegas was met with pace, aggression, and unshakable resilience. What Vegas thought would be intimidation quickly turned into desperation. Kelsey Mitchell delivered dagger after dagger, silencing the arena with clutch shots that were more than just points. They were payback. This wasn't only about winning a game. It was about exposing Vegas's dirty play and flipping their arrogance back on them. And after enduring most of Wilson's cheap shots, Lexi Hull had plenty to say. Comment Fever to show your support for Indiana.
This was supposed to be a night all about Asia Wilson's legacy. She made history before the ball even tipped, but the game that followed reminded the Aces how tough this playoff run will be.
The Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset to 6 seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game.
Hours before tip-off, all eyes in Las Vegas were on Aya Wilson as she held her MVP trophy high. It was meant to be a night of celebration for the Aces, a statement to the league that this was their time, their series, and their crown to defend. But when the final buzzer sounded, that ceremony felt more like a distraction than a triumph. The shine of the trophy faded quickly once the game began, because everything Vegas expected to come easy turned out to be
And Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces lose Game 1 on their home court to the Indiana Fever, 89-73. The Indiana Fever were in control of this game from start to finish. There was a small little patch there in the third quarter. We started saying, are the Aces gonna come back? But Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims said, no, they're not going to come back. Not at all.
The Aces entered the night stamped as heavy favorites, with media chatter suggesting Indiana barely belonged on the same floor. That storyline was written before either team left the locker room. Vegas had the titles, the star power, the win streak. Indiana, they were down 6 players to injury. Caitlin Clark was sidelined. Sophie Cunningham unavailable. Sydney Colson out. And the list didn't end there. To most experts it felt unfair, a matchup already decided. That smug certainty trickled down to the Vegas bench, where head coach Becky Hammond boldly reminded everyone the Fever hadn't even faced the real Aces yet. The message was clear. This was supposed to be Vegas's statement game, their moment to flex dominance.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about this matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
While Vegas soaked in all the pre-game hype, the Fever were treated like nothing more than a footnote. Analysts spoke of them as an afterthought, just another hurdle for the Aces to clear on their path to another championship. And truthfully, that was perfect for Indiana. When nobody expects you to win, you play loose. The weight of pressure disappears. The game becomes yours to take. And from the very first possession, that freedom was obvious. The Fever looked fearless, energized.
On the court, the Fever crashed the party. Kelsey Mitchell dropped a playoff career-high 34 points to spoil the night with an 89-73 win.
In the second half, I just felt like our physicality and our pursuit was not there. Like, we died on screens. You have to have second and third efforts. Even if you know you might be beat, you still have to try hard to get back into the play, and I don't think we tried hard in that category.
Instead of folding to the noise, Indiana came out attacking with pace from the opening tip. The ball zipped side to side, shots fell, and suddenly the Aces, with all their swagger, looked a half-step slow. The pressure shifted fast. It wasn't Indiana carrying the weight anymore. It was Las Vegas, the two-time defending champs suddenly dragged into a fight they never expected. And it's funny how arrogance can quickly unravel into panic when the underdog refuses to back down. By night's end, the story everyone dismissed was front-page news. History says 72% of teams who win Game 1 in a best-of-5 take the series. That upset didn't just change momentum, it flipped the math. And the rattled aces on their own floor couldn't.
If you better not blank on the mix-up, bitch, you might get ranking. Shot back. Jump, right, jump, put it, bang, fly, you don't want to fight no hitter? No, you gonna shoot in the fight.
The moment Indiana refused to collapse, everything shifted. The Aces abandoned sharp basketball and slipped into something far uglier. It showed right away. Offense gave way to shoving, ball movement to jawing, and confidence to desperation. What began as a night meant to showcase dominance unraveled into the league's top teams scrambling for shortcuts, exposing.
Hall is getting pushed all game. Look at that. Like elbowed, pushed, but guess who fell? That's an illegal screen. She leans into Lexi Hall, pushes her. Look at this. Pushes Lexi Hall down. Like, I can't take this crap. I'm sick of watching it over and over. That's a moving screen. And then pushes her again. Look at that. You can't do that. They didn't call any. This is the only one they called a foul. She straight pushed Kelsey Mitchell into A'ja Wilson.
A'ja Wilson set the tone in the worst way imaginable. Instead of relying on her skill and leadership, she tried to impose herself physically, but not in the way that wins games. She threw elbows off the ball, slammed her body into players after the whistle, and on multiple transition plays delivered shoves that had nothing to do with defending. The flops were just as blatant, falling as if she'd been hit by a truck when replays showed nothing more than routine contact. At one point, she even hooked an opponent's arm on a rebound attempt before crashing to the floor to sell a foul. These antics weren't about competing at the highest level. They were about grasping for control that was slipping.
And then this pathetic foul to start the game off with. But ball never lies. I love when karma happens. Yeah, miss your free throw. And then here we go. Check this out. Foul. Look at this. When she swings her elbows on Powers. Powers just holding her ground, but it's a foul. Let's go through this. This is A'ja Wilson. I'm so big and bad. No, you didn't get touched. It wasn't that cool. You made a layup.
And the Aces fell right in line. Jackie Young used her size on screens, throwing hits that looked more like football blocks than clean basketball cuts. Off the ball, Indiana players absorbed blindsided hips and shoulders disguised as physical play. It slowed the rhythm, but it never rattled the fever. If anything, Indiana embraced the chaos, smiling through it and responding with sharper execution, turning Vegas's rough tactics into fuel for their own.
But then Aaliyah Boston swings her elbows around and makes a shot, but no, she can't do it. She's a fever. An Indiana fever. She said, that's a flop. That's what Caitlin said. Here we go. A'ja Wilson. Look at her trying to flop to get a call. Nobody touched you. And this is the biggest bullcrap of the game. So Kelsey Mitchell goes in for a layup. A'ja Wilson shows them their lip, so they review it. Ever see an Indiana Fever player get a review when they're called for a foul and they zoom in with a microscope and call it technical? They called it technical on Kelsey Mitchell.
Every hard foul only seemed to ignite Indiana's rotation. Rather than losing focus, Kelsey Mitchell called for the ball even more. Instead of stepping back, Odyssey Sims tightened her defensive pressure. In the paint, Natasha Howard and Brianna Turner absorbed every shove with disciplined positioning, holding ground without retaliation. What Vegas intended as intimidation became pure motivation, fueling a roster already fired up after being dismissed.
A'ja Wilson, look at that foul they called for. Yeah, saved her. That's some bullcrap. I love Aaliyah Boston. Great job today playing defense. Look at that. Another foul. Bailed out by the refs. I get pissed off. This is the worst one. They call this a jump ball. How is that a jump ball? Nobody even had possession. Aaliyah Boston, that's anything is over the back. Not a jump ball.
That's the irony. The Aces, led by the newly crowned MVP, were supposed to look poised in the biggest moments. Instead, they unraveled, leaning on antics you'd expect from a playground fight. Every shove, flop, and frustrated push was a quiet admission. They were losing the game on its own terms. Indiana's resilience had stripped away their swagger. And while Vegas sank deeper into frustration, the Fever's stars rose to the moment, turning an ugly fight into their night to shine. Once it became clear Indiana wasn't folding, the Aces abandoned basketball fundamentals and tried to turn the contest into a wrestling match. Shoves in the lane, bodies hitting the hardwood, flops so obvious the whole arena could see through them. That became their fallback plan once the scoreboard stopped leaning their way. But Indiana never shrank from it. They embraced the chaos, sharpened their focus, and dug into another gear. Missing 6 teammates meant someone had to step up, and instead of rattling them, Vegas's cheap tactics only poured gasoline on the fire. With
Funny Mitch, put him in a ditch! Who on the Las Vegas Aces is going to try to stop Kelsey Mitchell? Because from what I just saw, they had no answer for her. Kirsten Bell, line right up, smack. Jackie Young, step right up, torched. Chelsea Gray, torched. Jewel Lloyd, torched. Nobody could hang with Kelsey Mitchell as she goes off.
Kelsey Mitchell delivered the perfect response to the Aces' antics. She erupted for 34 points on near-flawless shooting, slicing through their defense no matter how physical they tried to make it. Vegas could shove her after drives, jaw at her non-stop, and still she buried dagger after dagger. Each basket was a reminder. The Aces might win the skirmishes after the whistle, but they couldn't keep pace where it mattered most. For all the MVP trophies and championship banners in Vegas, not one of their stars matched.
At time, keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of bounces.
She wasn't alone. Odyssey Sims looked every bit the veteran built for this stage. Her drives into the paint were fearless. Her hands disrupted everything on defense, and she became the steadying force when the game threatened to spiral. You could see her guiding teammates through possessions, slowing the tempo when Vegas pushed chaos, then torching them the next trip with a burst to the rim. That balance, that refusal to answer cheap shots with more of the same, kept Indiana locked